Hi, Lopa.
Hi, Sven.
Thank you for the opportunity to practice deliberate conversation. And we agree that topic for today is leveraging conversation to humanize workplace.
Yeah, thanks for having this time. Much
Mm.
appreciated. So, let me share what's in my mind, and then we can
Mm-hmm.
take it from there. So, across organizations and based on my conversations with my colleagues and other peers, I've realized that most of the organizations have good employee-friendly policies and rules to make the place employee-friendly. But what I have sensed and gathered is that most of the people, they don't feel, I mean, they're frustrated, or they don't feel a sense of belonging in their organization. And that made me wonder, what can we do, because we are also change agents,
Mm-hmm.
to make the workplace more, for people feel more belonged to that
Mm.
place, and they feel more valued and respected. Uh, and more so in this um, current time, where
Mm.
you hear all this quitting and the great resignation and all of those things. And that made me ponder, like, oh, what is it happening? Because it's just not money, uh, or um, or a job security, but something else. And what I've gathered from my friends and colleagues is that the value, the respect, and the job satisfaction. And these are some of the things which people look for, especially more so the need to feel valued and respected.
Mm.
So that's where I've been thinking, what else? I mean, these policies are really great. I mean, great that organizations are focusing on people in the organization, the employees, but what is still the missing element which we can help
Mm.
with?
So what I hear you share just now, um, there could be a concern in the workplace about the health of the workplace, especially on the aspect of being valued,
Mm.
the feeling of being valued. And it seems that based on your observation, the policy and activity maybe have some good intention about this engagement and being valued, and the effects seem to be not reaching the expectation.
Yeah.
And you are asking what is missing. And I just wonder, this gap, and you say it's based on your observation and your conversation, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, from what perspective you're bringing up this uh, kind of like observation?
Um, yeah. So what I mean, when I say the perspectives and you're talking about, it's from the people, the colleagues I have, or my friends who are there across
Mm,
organizations, when they share their frustrations that they're not happy with their job. And when we probe further and figure out what could be the reason, and it's that, oh yeah, it's just the same regular job. uh there's no, like, I don't feel respected and valued. But
mm,
there are reasons, like, some people do quit, they move on and they find jobs in other places. Some people say, hey, I'm okay to stay here for the
mm,
very reason that I don't want to get out of my comfort zone. So, if to answer your question, the perspective is more from my, I would say, the discussions I have from the colleagues to understand, like, what is, my friends, to understand what is that is making you. I mean, it's a general conversation which starts with how are you at your
mm,
workplace, how is it
mm, mm,
treating, and then it goes into deeper. like, hey, not happy about it, or what is it you're not happy about? Yeah, so that's where it comes up, like I don't feel valued or respected, or I don't see my experiences or my expertise being leveraged the way I would want to.
So it's very much on based on your interaction with your
Yeah.
friends and people that you work with.
Yes.
Yeah. Since I'm also no longer an employee, I'm
Uh-huh.
actually independent coach.
Uh-huh.
So I also hear similar stories on internet, and based on some interaction with my ex-colleague, and I I think maybe this situation have different perspective. So
Mm-hmm.
today our conversation is mainly from what we observe and from colleague or friend perspective.
Yes.
Yeah, it's because I never work in HR, and I'm not the boss as well.
Uh-huh.
So I think in a sense that it seems that the intention not matching up with expectation as you observe. Like people
Yes. Yes.
are probably, like you say, the great resignation or the quiet quitting, right?
Yes.
And I think based on what I observe, it seems that the unhappiness, there are many parts of it.
Mm.
One part of it, as you say, that if I'm not valued or I'm not being uh, respected, definitely
Mm-hmm.
it's a very great push factor for me to leave the current position,
Yeah.
which I have experienced it and I have done that before.
Mm.
And I also realized that there's a shift in my mindset since beginning of COVID-19.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like when I have more time with myself, I feel that the shift in me that I have higher emphasis on my own and um, growth and development.
Yeah.
So there's a it kind of seems like it's a very kind of phenomenon, like with more time working from home and more time reflecting, less
Mm.
traveling. I also
Correct.
see the shift in me that personal development become more important than maybe other aspect. For example,
Mm.
either could be financial reward, could be career advancement. So I kind of like have a new perspective about my personal development.
Mm. Yeah, I do agree. I think personally for me, this has also been the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like the focus on personal development and on my family. And when I talk to, and if you look at, well, why I talked about that, the perspective I'm bringing about humanizing workplaces, modern conversations. But if you look at the reports, as I said, if I of the Great Resignation or quite quitting, um, one of the things which came up is like people want to focus on themselves.
Mm.
Uh, and it was a mass at some point where people were quitting because they really felt that they want to focus on themselves. So we do have some statistics where
Mm.
people said, um, what from our conversation, what I'm making up is that there's something, I mean, as you said, the shift in mindset, like, um, is like one, like focus on family, like earlier, when our parents were working or we were working at some point, there was a focus on like, let's work more, like focus on the work. But right now the shift has been more also focus on yourself
Mm.
along with work. So there should be a fine balance
Mm.
between work and life. And at the same time, everybody kind of also feel that we need to be valued and respected for the work we are doing and for the person we are.
Mm. Mm.
And I think that's the crux of what I have observed and what I'm making up from the conversation we had, because as you said that you had worked earlier, but you moved to your independent coach for certain reasons,
Mm,
right? And that might be some of the things which, because the autonomy, or
mm.
I'm making up here,
Yes, yes,
the
yes.
autonomy, the purpose for you to move from or the independence which you have as an independent coach is quite different when you are an employee.
Yes, 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 yes. I actually resonate with you. Like the autonomy is a very attractive factor, especially at certain career stage.
Yeah. Yes.
And it seems that we also observe that personal development become a high priority. Um, Maybe it has started way earlier,
Mm.
and COVID-19 and beginning of COVID-19 have uh, accentuate, like put a spotlight on personal development and make it
Yes.
higher priority or more importance for more people. And in the beginning, you asked what is missing. And since the topic is about leveraging conversation, I just wonder what has happened about using conversation to humanize a workplace based on your observation.
There are two aspects to it. What is obviously the human touch is missed because we are all remote.
Mm-hmm.
But I've also observed and have heard, like when COVID started and we had all the people like trying to reach out to how are you feeling, and that becomes a little overwhelming.
Mm.
Like we used to have, I mean, I understand that we used to have check-ins saying that
Mm.
how are you feeling, and sometimes it becomes overwhelming. But now that uh, the COVID is gone or it's stabilized, that that bit is missing. As in, we don't have so many check-ins anymore, like people
Mm.
asking. But so what I also observed and I've heard, we miss those water cooler conversations.
Mm. What a cool.
Uh, Water cooler conversations, like
Mm-hmm.
where you don't just have to have a formal meetings,
Mm.
and be it with anybody. It can be with your peer, it can be somebody you don't know, or it can be with your manager or your manager's managers.
Mm.
So right now, maybe because of remote working and we are all far off, the conversation is just limited to the few people you're working with.
Mm.
And that sometimes make people feel, and it becomes a little mechanical, less of human touch. And it will be, hey, how are you doing? Okay, let's
Mm.
get on with the topic. And even I do that. Let me be very honest sometimes. And that's where I think we can be more humanized, or slow down and empathize, and just so genuine concern, or ask, how are you doing today? What's how's been your day so far, or something like that, to make it, is everything okay with you?
Mm.
Yes, that's a missing bit, I would put it. And that's what I feel 90% of the people I have conversed with have told me that that's the
Mm.
missing bit.
Mm. So what I hear is 3 years from the beginning of COVID-19, the activity of checking in, like how are you, become very, or maybe tend to be mechanical,
Mm,
and you miss the feeling of connection when you're having a water cooler conversation. And it seems
mm.
that after 3 years, when we come back from working from home, maybe back to office, it seems like I hear that maybe there is possibility that we continue some of the activity and become mechanical,
Mm.
and the connection seem to be getting less personal.
Yes. While we, yeah, I totally agree. So while we initially started the pandemic, we had those frequent check-ins and it seemed mechanical.
Mm.
But now when we look back, perhaps it was a good thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
And now, we're back in office. Obviously, you don't meet everybody.
Mm, mm, mm,
You would meet bits and pieces of people. You do miss those connections, which was
mm,
mechanical at that time. you do miss those connections.
Mm. It seems
But at
like,
least,
yeah, go
yeah,
ahead.
if, at least you feel that, oh, there was somebody checking how am I doing, and it was from genuine concern. Maybe it was overwhelming at times, but it was from genuine concern.
Mm. What I hear is there is less checking and possibly less effort on making connection.
Yeah, that's what even I am sensing.
It seems like we have adopt what we have adopted the last 3 years and continue that.
Mm.
And in the path of adapting, we become less and less connection or less putting the personality into the activity.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's what is coming up, what we are discussing
Mm,
here. While it was said when pandemic started and everybody actually worked from home,
mm,
that it brought people into level playing field, as in because everybody are working from home, so everybody can understand each other's pain, right? What
mm,
let's say somebody who is working in the headquarters and closer to the leadership,
mm,
and somebody who is working from a different geographic location, not closer to the. Now, there was a sense of perception that the person working from the headquarters had more visibility,
mm,
more connections than the person not working from the headquarters. But with the pandemic, everything changed, right? And it was
mm,
like everybody brought into the level playing field. But and the positive, that was the positive, if I have to put it, and that's what everybody said. So, but over a period of time, um, the level playing field is not there, and it sometimes feels that we are back to post-pandemic,
mm,
um, and the connections are missing, for whatever reason.
mm. So when you talk about connection, you're talking about the post-pandemic, or maybe 3 years from the beginning.
Yes.
And it seems that the connection that we used to have, like you said about the water cooler conversation, it's like we have dropped that, but not replaced with something similar or better.
Yeah,
And
that's
we have
one.
adopted what we have practiced during the lockdown and remote conversation or remote working. And
Mm.
as time passed, it seems that the relationship become, like you say, sparse. You connect with people that you work with, but beyond the immediate team or immediate department, the
Mm.
connection seems to be less and less personal.
True, totally. Yeah, that's what
Mm.
is coming up. Yes.
I just wonder, I think, I also wonder what is missing because
Mm.
we can talk over the phone, we have different tools like we are talking over Zoom now. I'm sure there are more tools. So
Yeah,
in
yeah.
terms of the tools and platform, we have more choices now. And it seems that with more tools and choices, we have less personal connection.
Yeah. Something came in my mind, and I'm just making up right now.
Mm.
Is it because we are right now after the during the pandemic, we realize that focusing on ourselves is more important than others? I mean, focusing on ourselves is more important. I would not put it than others. Are people so busy in focusing on themselves that they miss having connections with others?
Mm. I think that's probably something more. I sense that this is more of an assumption.
Mm,
That because I focus on my own personal development, that's why I'm less concerned about people beyond my immediate circle.
mm, mm.
I think it's more of that could be a possible factor, but we don't have
Data.
data, or probably it varies from person to person.
Yeah.
From my own experience is there's a tendency because I saw beyond. So now I have email and I have all the different tools. It seems like I developed a habit of sending messages
Mm.
and less inclined to make small talk, and because um, maybe it's kind of like um, we have new habit, and this new habit over time become
Mm.
less personal, and and based on my own experience, it seems that the habit of working from home, I tend I tend to use it as a crutch
Mm.
because I work from home. I don't need to talk to anyone beyond the people that I work with directly.
Yeah.
I'm kind of like not aware that while I concentrate working from home with the people that I work with maybe regularly, I
Mm.
kind of ignore the bigger picture because it's like they are no longer in my visible space. Like
Mm.
visually, I don't see them, and even though I go back to office or to some place, I don't see everyone. It's kind of like
Mm.
if you're not within sight, that you are out of my mind. And
Yeah.
probably some people also feel the same thing about me, that maybe we used to have a bit of social conversation, and but now since we are not working closely together, and seems like the connection, the social connection that even small or just social, it
Mm.
become like lost in this so-called transformation.
Mm. What, while you were sharing this, what came up for me is, and you brought in that point. So earlier, where we were in off,
Mm-hmm.
are you there?
Yes, yes, yes. Can you repeat the last sentence?
Yes. So what came up for me when you were narrating, and uh, I tend to agree with this, is that when we were in office, pre-pandemic, the water cooler conversations were informal.
Mm,
While right now we have so many tools, and and that came up, like we tend to be okay with our sphere of people who are in our immediate sphere, but people who are out of our sphere or of
mm,
influence of the, we tend to think, oh, shall I send a message? Shall I connect? What if the other person is not going to respond? So that formality is somehow steeped in.
mm,
And that also brings about a distance between people and the connections.
mm,
That was coming up for me. And yeah, I mean, I feel like this is a point which we need to, because mm, uh, if I'm talking about an employer, as an employee, we spend maximum time, whether we are working from home or from office, it related to work.
mm,
And it makes sense to have that feeling of connections, not just with our peer. And sometimes it so happen that it's coming what I'm making up as or I yeah, that we tend to make assume things on our head,
mm,
that oh, this person might respond, might not respond, so I reach out, so I not reach out. and and that's where we say that I don't feel valued and respected. I'm bringing the other polarity here, but from the other side of it, right? One part, as an like my, like let's say as an employee, I might be feeling that I'm not valued and respected, but I'm just trying to bring in the other side of it, like, is it something we are making up in our head,
mm,
or is a genuine concern, like what is stopping that employee or the person from reaching out to the person who they want to connect to?
mm, mm, mm. I think maybe I can try to connect what you share and what I share.
Yes.
My own experience is because I don't see all the people, so I feel less urge or need to connect people that I don't see.
Mm.
And from your perspective, or from what your experience, for you, from what you share so far, because maybe you are not being seen, or being seen, maybe not being asked as often as you wish to be. So you kind of like have this thought or a story that maybe you were not valued.
Yeah.
So there's two part of it, right?
Yes.
My part is like I don't see you, that's why I have a tendency not connected with you. And because
Yes.
you are not connected, you assume or maybe have this tendency to make up a story
Yes.
that I'm not valuing you as what it used to be, even though we may just have a few casual conversation.
Yes. That's what is coming up for me.
Yeah. So
S-
so
mm.
so so maybe before we jump into any solutioning and conclusion, I actually see a part that I can play. Of course, there are many factors
Mm.
about the situation about people leaving and not happy. I think I see a part that probably I need to take responsibility. That making this connection is there's a part for me to play.
Mm.
Mm.
Mm. Yeah, and what came up for me is that it's both sides. It's not just one side.
Mm, mm,
As an employer, if or as my peer, if I want, I mean, if you are my peer or if you are my employer, either ways,
mm-hmm,
if you are making if I'm expecting you to make an effort to make connections,
mm,
and the same effort has to be done from my side, and not make stories.
mm. Wow. I'm glad that we have a deeper understanding of different perspective, and and while I'm not trying to make assumption about other perspective,
Mm.
I just wonder what can we try in the next few days or next few weeks.
Making book connections. I think that's the for me during the conversation what we were having, and I want to expand it beyond the workplace to let me, if I may, beyond the workplace to outside the society also,
Mm,
to my social circle and everywhere else. That the connection is the missing part. More so, the triggers. I mean, more so not the triggers. I would put it more so the stories we are making up.
mm,
So in the next few days, if I have to, maybe I'll have to talk to my friends who had shared their experiences and let me know what is that missing part, that what we discussed,
mm-hmm,
and also observe what I am doing to make that connection with my peers
mm.
and my friends, both in my organization and outside.
So what I hear is you want to make more connection within the circle you are with and also beyond. And you also want to observe about your reaction.
Yes, my triggers, like if at all I'm making up a story, let's say you and me are talking right now and I'm
Mm,
making a story. Hey, I'm not feeling valued and respected by and so I need to really pause and reflect on what is making me think that. Is it a
mm,
story or is it something else? Is that there's some non-verbal cues coming up? And may have those courageous. I think that key would be understanding the stories and then going back and checking with you also if there is a pattern coming up, rather than making assumptions.
Yes, 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 yes. Less making assumption and more have collective sense making, like whether are
Yes.
we connecting to each other.
Yes.
And as we discussed, I remember in the beginning you talk about the connection is less personal and maybe more mechanical. So I wonder, what can I do to make the connection more personal? I think one thing I come to my mind or come to me that calling my attention is, what is my intention when I interact with you, for example?
Mm.
Do I interact with you because the need to get something done, or there could be more?
Mm.
And because I can be talking to you as many times as we wish, but the connection may be still the same.
Mm.
And
Mm.
I think the intention from my side that I need to pay more attention what I might intended while having conversation with you, or people I never converse anymore because there's no need.
Yeah. If I may share, I feel
Mm-hmm.
more connected with you now than
Yes.
at the start of the conversation, because you brought the conversation to me,
Mm-hmm.
and I now I feel, oh yeah, so there is a genuine attempt from sir to make me feel comfortable in the conversation.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I think one thing is I can observe that the effect when I listen carefully and when I try to verify my understanding and probably explore a bit more. And about the intention, I think in a way that while I can have more focus during the conversation, I think the intention has to be brought to a bigger scope.
Mm.
Not, of course, I can't represent everyone. So my intention is to brought this challenge or this possible issue to the bigger group,
Mm.
especially people who are working with many, many people.
Mm.
That what I can do is bring up this attention. Are we doing something just for the sake of doing?
Mm.
And how do we do it with intention, especially on a larger scale?
Mm.
So
Mm.
there's
Mm.
something that I can contribute beyond my own personal behavior.
Yeah, yeah. Because the intention can be a wider one which connects everybody.
Yeah, yes, yes,
So everybody feels the what's in it for me.
yes, yes, yes. So if I'm going to make a conclusion, in the beginning, our topic is about leveraging conversation to humanize the workplace.
Mm.
It seems that conversation is like a tool. Without intention or focus, it's a tool.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I talk to you many, many times and I'm not focusing you or putting my attention to you, you will feel that like it's still mechanical. I feel that
Mm.
there's something come up to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's what. Um. Yeah. I guess that. And the other part, which if I may conclude, is that instead of making assumptions, observe, see the triggers in yourself and see the triggers in other. And if you see a pattern, then you also make an attempt to have that conversation rather than getting bottling up.
In a way that we need to make an attempt to connect to each other.
Exactly. Yes. That's what came up. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for the
Thanks.
practice for
Yeah.
deliberate conversation.
Thank you very much. I enjoyed the discussion.
Thank you.